Welcome to another episode of SFF180 Horror. In today's video, a suburban Michigan family has their already shaky world turned completely upside down when their 8-year-old daughter's imaginary friend not only turns out not to be imaginary, but an increasingly aggressive demonic entity focused on swapping places with the little girl. In Incidents Around the House. That's the book I'm reviewing for you. Hello again, everyone. Thomas here, your host as always, and I hope you are having a wonderful Halloween season. Bella is 8 years old and lives a comfortable suburban life with her father, Russ, whom she calls Daddo, her mommy, Ursula, and other mommy, who lives in Bella's closet and only comes out at night, although she, or it, has been getting a bit bolder lately. Bella liked Other Mommy when it first turned up. They'd laugh and play. But lately, Other Mommy has been asking the same question, persistently and with growing impatience. Can I go into your heart? And Bella gets that deep, uncomfortable feeling that Other Mommy isn't using a figure of speech. Bella's parents have known about Other Mommy for a little while, but it's not unusual for a young child to have an imaginary friend that lives in their head, unless it's not imaginary and goes where it pleases. Now, I've never been a parent myself, unless you count children with 4 feet and wagging tails, in which case I'm Mike Brady. But I guess it's not surprising that so many horror stories are about children and what a parent will do to protect their offspring at any cost. Now, Josh Malerman pulls together some popular variations on the theme in Incidents Around the House, delivering an effectively eerie tale where we experience not only incidents around the house, but around the park, the neighborhood, the playground, the beach, you name it. Now, to be honest, I've never fully been on board with Josh Malerman's work in the years since he made his name with Bird Box, but Incidents is one of his most accomplished books. It isn't flawless, but it hits its marks way more often than not, and to put it mildly, it passes the vibe check from the very first page, hooking you with a creep factor that is simply off the scale. Malerman starts off with the risky but surprisingly convincing choice to have Bella narrate the story. Now, it's the kind of thing that could have easily run right off the rails into mawkishness, but never does. Now, it works mostly because Malerman gives Bella a convincingly childlike outlook on things, where some writers might have only taken the superficial path of using, simple vocabulary and diction to indicate, a child. Bella is smart in the way most adults often don't believe kids are. She isn't naive. She knows how to read her parents' mercurial moods, especially her mother's. She can listen to her parents go on about their problems, and dear God, do they have problems, and know there's something wrong even if she isn't quite getting all the little grown-up details. But we can read between every line. I've always wondered if one of the first real sadnesses a young child experiences is realizing that when their parents are upset, it's often over them. So you might say there's a bit of the Babadook crossed with Coraline here, but Incidents Around the House is very much its own story. When Other Mommy breaks containment, so to speak, and begins appearing to Bella's parents and even manifesting outside the house, all hell breaks loose in the truest sense of the word. What follows is a desperate race by the family to escape this horrifying entity, which is generally humanoid in shape, but with the alarming ability to move around rooms and walls like a kind of liquid, which is put to great effect in a memorably nightmarish scene in a bathroom. And of course, they've got to do whatever it takes to free Bella from its clutches. Along the way, they'll find themselves abandoned by friends, scammed by a self-proclaimed paranormal investigator, and drawn to some unlikely allies. They'll risk their precarious finances on turning their house into an actual fortress with security cameras and guard dogs. But will any of it do any good? The family's interpersonal dramas come into play as a major plot element, and this tends to hamper the story at times. The second real sadness a child feels might be realizing their parents are a complete disaster. Ursula is a serial cheater, and that turns out to be only the symptom of even deeper issues, all of which contribute to making her impossible to like. And Daddo, on the other hand, is just a sad little doormat of a man. You know, I mean, the way he shares his little philosophies of life over breakfast with Bella makes us all too aware of the intensity of the emotions he must be suppressing. Malerman is a bit too on the nose with some of this stuff, particularly in scenes where Ursula sits at the foot of Bella's bed when she thinks the girl is asleep and pours out her guilt in a long confessional. It feels less like something a parent would actually do in real life, and more like a way for Malerman to shortcut character work through exposition. But then, he does use these scenes to set up a really good scare at a key moment, so incidents around the house might not leave you feeling all that sympathetic to its characters in their plight, but it provides really good nightmare fuel for readers who like that kind of thrill, and that's what we're all visiting this house for in the first place. And there you have it. That's all I have time for in this episode of SFF180 Horror. And you guys know the drill. These are reviews. You will not always agree with me, but if you enjoyed watching, please hit that like button. Share the video far and wide with all of your SFF and horror reading friends. And above all, please subscribe. If you have not done so, that is how the channel grows. You can also support the channel at my TeePublic store and at my Buy Me a Coffee page, where you can just make tiny little one-time donations, and also here, right here in the comments with super likes and things like that. However, I am no longer going to be promoting the Patreon because I think I'm going to be canceling it here in the coming week. It has been a very nice and helpful thing to have for people who wanted to send a little support to help me pay Matt Olson, my wonderful and gifted, talented channel artist who does all my incredible thumbnails and things for me. However, the Apple App Store is changing its rules in terms of how they want Patreon to accept payments and things like that, and it just sounds like a real hassle to put you guys through. So I want to thank everyone who has been part of the Patreon over these past years. It's been very nice to have, but I think it's time to move on to do something better and easier for the people who still want to support the channel in that way. And as for all the rest of you, thank you so much for being the very best viewers in all of BookTube, and until I see all of you next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and spooky reading.